Well, it had been 10 games since Jason Robertson had scored a goal in the postseason. And then, boom, he breaks out in a huge way. A hat trick for Robo leads the Stars past the Oilers in Game 3 by a final score of 5-3. Let's break this one down next on Locked On Stars.
Your Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Well, how do you do, Jason Robertson? I called him out in the Game 3 preview episode, and he shoves the words right back into my mouth. A hat trick for Robo, and the Stars take Game 3, sticking to the script, by a final score of 5-3. The Road Warriors continue, and this time it takes place at Rogers Place in Edmonton, in Alberta. The Stars improved their record to 6-1 on the road in the postseason. What a victory it was tonight in Game 3, and we are going to touch on it all. Thank you so much for joining us on a Game 3 live reaction here on Locked On Stars. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. You think Jason Robertson missed Roope Hintz? I don't know. Maybe he did. I sure as heck think he did, because Roope Hintz had himself a fantastic return for Dallas. He was one of the best forwards for the Stars in the game, really from the outset, when they put themselves in a hole early against the Oilers, spotting them 2 goals in the first 8 minutes of the period. And it was a horrendous start. Don't think it could have gone much worse for the Stars, to be completely honest, but they battled, they stick with it. And then Jason Robertson has himself a game. And I know some of you came after me for being critical of him, but look, that was his first goal, his first one against Edmonton, at least, since Game 5 against Vegas. Robertson has played really well, and I think I've given him his fair share of praise throughout the postseason. But look, he needs to score goals at this time of year. This is what the Dallas Stars are paying him to do. And by all means, if we get this version of Robertson, boy, the Stars are going to be dangerous, and you can't underestimate how important, or overestimate how important, Roope Hintz is to the equation. It's just someone else the opponent has to keep eyes on, which allows Robertson to get to his spots, and he did in this one. His third goal, I mean, that is just a goal scorer's goal. You hear about his work ethic and the way he practices. He shoots pucks from anywhere and everywhere. That is stuff that he practices in tight, in and around the net, and he banks it in off of Skinner. That is a goal scorer's goal. How many guys shoot that puck from there? Maybe five in the National Hockey League. And it wasn't like, oh, this is open, let me try to stuff this to some degree. This was like a calculated move from Robertson on the goal line. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff from Robertson. And of course, he helps the Stars to victory. Ends up with a 4.78 game score. Roope Hintz is right behind him. He picks up a couple of helpers, and yeah, Roope is key to this whole equation for the Dallas Stars, especially offensively. He looked really good. Didn't look like he missed a step from leaving Game 4 against Colorado. Just came back in, was his usual self. He's disciplined. He's good in the dots. And what a game it was for Roope and Robertson to get the Stars on the board and just get them going in that second period, because they were, again, just horrific in the first period, completely dominated. They were outshot 10-3 in that period. But once again, they come out in the second period and it's guns a-blazing. They end up out shooting Edmonton 16-7 in that middle frame. Robertson gets 2, and then Johnston was able to bury his 8th of the postseason to give Dallas the lead. They scored 3 goals in the span of 3 minutes in 22 seconds. That's the fastest in franchise history for the Dallas Stars. And it just turned the game on its head. You could hear a pin drop in Edmonton, and it just finally got Dallas to their game. Look, we were all hoping for a better start, but you quickly realized they were just going to have to hang on and survive the wave. Jake Ottinger was swimming a bit, but again, he came up with big stops when they needed him, and he allowed the offense to finally catch its stride. And then boom, they caught its stride in a hurry, and Dallas ends up taking a couple of goals right off the hop there in the second. And then boom, they win this by a final score of 5-3, and they shut it down again. They shut it down when they have the lead late. Miro Heiskanen with the empty netter, and you can just see the way Dallas plays when they're trailing, right? And obviously it's going to be different, but they just play much more sound. There were some breakdowns in this game. It wasn't the cleanest defensively, but look, I think Edmonton is playing really, really well. You have to tip your cap to them. They have given the Stars all they can handle, but at the same time, a lot of it can be to the Stars' own fault with some of their mistakes. The Harley play at the end of the second was really, really bad. Just a weak backhand play. And for the most part, it seems like Ottinger and the defense weren't quite as connected today. Just it felt like they weren't very clean on their exchanges, which of course hampers their ability to get out of their own zone, which then eventually led to a lot of good looks for Edmonton. And you credit the Oilers, their forecheck has been really, really good in the series, and they forced Dallas into a lot of mistakes. But I don't think Dallas has been that clean. A lot of it is self-inflicted wounds that Edmonton is taking advantage of. But even when Dallas was down by 2, you knew they were still in the hockey game, because Stuart Skinner is on the other end, and he's been really, really good in this series. I've said it a lot. He's been really good, but can he keep that up? And he wasn't necessarily great here in game 3. I think the Oilers defense could have helped him out a bit more. The Robertson second goal, there's like 4 blue sweaters in front, and Robertson gets to the puck. They didn't defend great, very great. The fourth goal is definitely on him, though. I mean, what a goal from Robertson to sneak that one in. But look, the Stars just prove once again that you can't count them out no matter what the lead is, especially on the road. They are too good offensively, and they're going to get their looks. And it's as Dallas Stars as a game the Dallas Stars have ever played. They go down early, and then boom, it's just quick in succession. All of a sudden, they're on top, and you're having to play catch up. And they were certainly stunned. Of course, they get that goal at the end of the second period. The third period was pretty equal. It was flying by, a couple looks both ways. I mean, Desharnais just piped one off the pipe that stays out. But then Robertson scores that goal, and then Dallas just shuts it down. They just shut it down for the rest of the game. They've been very good with the extra attacker, due to the fact that they're winning faceoffs, especially in their defensive zone. They've been really, really good in important draws. The split has been about 50-50 throughout the series, but when it comes to those key faceoffs in their own zone with the extra attacker, I think they won the first 2, and that's really all they needed to win. They won 2, and then Miro is able to find the empty net. Robertson, by the way, second player in franchise history with a hat trick. The round before the Stanley Cup final, which joins Dino Ciccarelli from the Minnesota North Stars. And what a night for Robertson, and Roope Hintz certainly factors into that equation. I mean, great stuff from Miro as well. Defensively, the Stars got better as the game wore along. Obviously, they started to limit Edmonton off the rush. Pretty similar script to what we saw in game 2. Edmonton just comes out on fire, and they are taking it to Dallas, but they just can't find a way to sustain that. And it just shows you how good the Stars are. They will not allow a team to just roll over them in a lot of aspects, especially at this time of year. And this is also why guys like Joe Pavelski are in the lineup. And I know there's a lot of conversation revolving around him about he needs to be scratched. He's not going to be scratched, first off. Pete DeBoer's not taking him out of the lineup. So there's really no reason to even talk about it. Pavelski's in the lineup for winning those big draws at the end of games like he did here tonight. He's in the lineup for when your team is down 2-0 after a first period that you just got dominated. Because he is a calming presence in the locker room. And yes, he is not scoring, and he's not doing a ton on the offensive end. I completely understand. But having that leadership in the locker room is second to none. And they have the most experience. And I know they don't have experience of Stanley Cup finals games or playoff postseason success, right? But look, those are the type of guys you have to have in the locker room for the Stankovens of the world and the Johnsons to keep going. And man, they came out with that approach in the second period. We're going to take it to them. They dominate puck possession. 56% was their Corsi for percentage at 5-on-5 in that second period. They end up outchancing the Oilers 24-17 at 5-on-5. It's the first time they've outchanced them in a game in this series. All in all, the Oilers outchanced them 30-24, but they had a couple of brilliant looks on their power play. By the way, what a kill after the Ryan Suter delay a game penalty. Huge kill there. Ottinger was phenomenal in both the PKs. He had a couple of incredible stops in tight. He just continues to be marvelous. He ends up with 26 saves or 27 saves on the night, and the Oilers go 0 for 2 on the power play. The embellishment call and cross-check was whatever. Not going to get into it that much. Really never factored in, I guess, but maybe some lobbying from Edmonton helped them out there tonight, but it didn't help them put the puck in the back of the net on special teams. And credit to Ottinger. I thought Lindell was fantastic on the PK, along with Tanev, even though they had a couple of really bad failed clearances, not them specifically, but Dallas in general. I think Steele had just a horrendous one in that second period, which almost led to a goal. But yeah, I mean, what a victory. Truly, you find yourself in a hole early. It feels like the building's on top of you, and boom, they just grind their way back into it. They improved to 6-1 on the road in the postseason. The one loss was Game 6 in Vegas against the defending Stanley Cup champions. So yeah, they're pretty darn good on the road, and it's been the difference in every series so far. They dropped Game 1 at home. They bounce back in Game 2, and they go into an opponent's building, and it hasn't been pretty by any stretch of the imagination, especially in the last 2 Game 3s. But they get the job done. They find a way to win playoff games. They find a way to do it, and that's all that matters at this time of year. Let's continue the celebration of the Road Warriors in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home your own win. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. It's time to get in on the action this postseason. It's no better time to be a DFW sports fan. The Dallas Mavericks are one win away from the NBA Finals, where they inevitably await their opponent of the Boston Celtics, who clinched tonight. I, of course, am assuming the Mavericks are going to move on. Probably don't want to assume, but look, they have a 3-0 series lead. The Stars now have a 2-1 series lead. Sprinkle some money while you're on the couch this postseason on the Stars to take home the Stanley Cup and the Mavericks to win it all. $150, by the way, as I mentioned, in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Take out your smartphone, takes 30 seconds, and download FanDuel, or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Wow, what a game 3 for the Dallas Stars as they take down the Oilers by a final score of 5-3. Some more numbers to throw out there. Stars outchanced the Oilers at 5-on-5, as I mentioned. Total, it was in favor of the Oilers, 30-24. Stars ended up with 10 high danger chances in the game. Their expected goals force percentage in that second period was 66%. 3 goals in the span of 3 minutes and 22 seconds. So they continue to make some history. And what was pretty wild in a stat I heard, or a nugget I heard from the TNT broadcast, was I think all of the postseason hat tricks, or at least the last 3, have come in Rogers Place for Dallas. Well, I guess Pavelski's against Seattle was of course, at home, but you have Gurianov, that 4-goal game against Calgary, Kiviranta, the hat trick against Colorado, and then of course now Robertson. So I guess 3 out of the past 4, unless I'm forgetting one, which is pretty crazy. And we talked about it as well. Stars have fared really, really well in Edmonton in the past few years, and I guess it's not going to change as of yet. So 4 straight road wins for the Dallas Stars. It's the best team on the road in the NHL this season, and the beat goes on for them. The Robertson line ended up with 6 scoring chances themselves. Pavelski, Duchesne, and Marchment, by the way, I thought they had a sneaky good night. They ended up with 10 scoring chances. I know they didn't get one to go, but they had a couple of big shifts. I thought Duchesne was all over the place again. He's so key, especially on the walls. And you saw that in the second period where Dallas gets to their cycle game, something they just haven't been able to do in the first period. It is the X factor, frankly, for the Stars, playing beneath the end line. They are not going to get a ton of odd man rushes or get a ton of looks off the rush. They have to get pucks in. They have to win battles on the wall. And when they do, they can start running the Oilers ragged. You saw Ceci and Nurse reunite. Knobloch went to that pairing, and Dallas really took it to those two in the final 2 periods. And you could see Dallas start to stack shifts, right? One after another, right at the beginning of that second period. I believe the Johnston line starts it, then boom, Marchment lines comes out, and they had about a minute and a half, I want to say, of ozone time to wear out Edmonton. It didn't lead to a goal until a few moments later, but it's that type of initiation and momentum that carried Dallas to eventually Jason Robertson, who stole the show. What a 1-T off the setup by Roope Hintz, by the way. He holds the zone, and then he just puts it on a platter. Robo goes kaspank, back of the net, and Dallas is on the board. And then they just rattled off a few others. Mira was fantastic on the back end. God, he continues to elevate his play, proving himself as the best defenseman in the Stanley Cup playoffs right now. He ends up playing 26 minutes. Lindell actually led all skaters, 26-45. Harley had a game to forget in some degrees. He's really, really struggled with the puck. And maybe it's confidence. It certainly is mental at this point because he's such a great player. Look, we saw it for 82 games this regular season, but he's fighting it right now. He is fighting it. He's coughed up the puck a few times. Hopefully he gets back to his usual self because it's not what we're accustomed to seeing out of Harley by any stretch of the imagination. But you look at the forwards, right? And give credit to Pete DeBoer. Dallas is down 2-0, and they stick to the game plan. They stick to the script. Hey, we're rolling 4 lines. This is how we've had success. And Johnston leads all skaters for forwards, 18-18. That's not playing a ton. Sagan's right behind him at a couple of ticks under 18 minutes. Robertson played under 17 and had a hat trick, ladies and gentlemen. Played under 17 minutes. Ben just played under 14. And that's the script, right? And that's the motto, right, that the Stars are living by that you see all the time. A little less for the greater good, right? I'm paraphrasing here, but they're sacrificing minutes, they're sacrificing points and all this other stuff for the group. And you have to tip your cap because they stick to it and they didn't panic. Oh, they didn't panic whatsoever after that first period. Didn't panic. You know, they went back to the room. All right, guys, regroup, deep breath. We're fine. We're fine. There's 40 minutes. Our goalie on that side's not as good as ours. We got to get a few shifts here and there, start to get some looks, feel a little bit better about ourselves, and they'll go, right? They'll go. And boy, did they go. And they went in a hurry. Just no panic whatsoever. And I want to touch on some of the adversity a bit more. But Dallas is just showing to be tough as nails in this postseason. They're tough as nails, coming off losses, couple of goal deficits. It doesn't matter. Dallas is going to find a way. They just find a way. And they've done it for an entire season, right? And we saw it for 82 games. It's a reason they won the Western Conference in the regular season. It's a reason they have home ice advantage because they just battle. They stick to it shift after shift. And that's a huge win. That's a huge win. That is going to take a big chunk out of Edmonton. After the way they played that first period, there was maybe some sense, all right, like we may be able to wax them here. And that's a huge shift in emotion after that first period and then being down. And I know they fought back, but it wasn't quite the same, right? And you could see Dallas once again was comfortable in their system. They're comfortable in the game. And then Robo scores the go-ahead goal. And then it's lights out from there. Lights out. I think the Stars have only allowed one extra attacker goal throughout the postseason. Maybe it was 2. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it was 2 against in game 2 against Colorado, but they've been phenomenal when the opposition has the extra attacker. Okay, let's put a bow on this one, talk about some of the adversity and relish in another game 3 victory, and then we got to move on because the series is far from over. a lot to be done moving forward, but nonetheless, a big win in game 3 for the Dallas Stars. Let's segue in just a moment. So the Stars will look for a commanding series lead on Wednesday night. Puck drop in Edmonton once again is scheduled for 7:30. The series will switch back to Dallas on Friday. Happy Memorial Day, by the way. I know I already said this on my earlier episode, but for everyone just catching today's live reaction episode, happy Memorial Day to all the men and women that served our country. We are forever in your debt currently, or of course those who have passed, because it's people like me that get a sweet gig and just get to talk hockey and really make light of a lot of things and enjoy the freedom that you all fight for on an everyday basis. So really, really thankful for all of you that served our country. Just want to make that very, very clear. But it's nice when the Stars can win as well, of course. A 5-3 victory in Edmonton. Johnston with a big goal. He looked fantastic, along with Ben, man. Ben has been probably the best Stars forward in the first 3 games of this series, and that's no surprise, or maybe it is to some degree, but the captain just embodies everything about the Dallas Stars at this point. He's gotten really, really close, and he's yet to capture the Stanley Cup. And you can say the same thing, of course, for Pavelski and Suter, but he's been here in Dallas at the stages of a rebuild. And then, of course, bringing in Sagan when they've had a couple of good years, but they were really never quite good enough to get the job done. They were more on upset watch, like this is going to be a tough out. And now it's quickly switched into a team that has expectations of winning and came into this year winning it all was the expectation around that building. And he's had a heck of a postseason. He's had a heck of a postseason, and it was a real bitter end to a year ago in Vegas, which we've touched on multiple times. But the way he has led the Dallas Stars so far in this postseason has been second to none. And he bodies the Dallas Stars. He's bodied everything that he's gone through in his career to get back to this point, because it is extremely, extremely hard. And it could be the last time. It could be the last time they get this far in his career, right? He's towards the tail end, and look, he can maybe be Pavelski and play till he's like 45 or whatever, but the time is ticking, and you can tell him and the Stars in general are really, really seizing this opportunity and the opportunity they have ahead of them. And they get punched a few times, and they've got punched pretty good, and they just punch back even harder. And it's starting to be normal. It's becoming a characteristic more than an antidote at this point throughout this season. This whole run seems to be a theme from the 82 game regular season. Doesn't matter who we're missing, doesn't matter who's in the lineup, doesn't matter who's in net. Stars are going to be a very, very tough team to beat. We're going to be hard as nails to play against, and you have to bring it for 60 minutes, because 20 minutes isn't good enough, especially this time of year. They are going to keep pushing, and they are going to keep grinding. And this game 3 is just a perfect example of that. The first 10 minutes could not have gone worse in a lot of aspects. You give up a goal, you take a penalty. I know you kill it off, but then you give up a tap in to McDavid, and things could have got out of control. But Ottinger, he settles down, makes big stops when they need him to. Second period rolls around, 3 in a quick heartbeat. Of course, you go into the third period tie, but if you told me game's going to be tied 3-3 after that first period, sign me up 10 times out of 10. Let's even it up heading into a third period on the road where I know Dallas is the better team, and we'll close it out. And they close it out in spectacular fashion. And the Stars take their first series lead of the Western Conference Western Conference final heading into game 4. Jason Robertson hat trick. How about that? It had been 10 games. His first goal since game 5 against Vegas in the first round. He pots a hattie, and Dallas takes game 3 by a final score of 5-3. What a game indeed. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you as always for joining us on Locked On Stars. We are so close to 3,000 subscribers. Please hit that notification bell. Hit that subscribe button if you have not already. Let's continue to grow this fan base. All of you everydayers out there have been fantastic. Thank you so much for tuning in every day. Follow Locked On Stars on Twitter. You can follow Joey the Jet 19 on Twitter as well. Very, very much appreciated. Let's get to 3,000 by the end of the Western Conference Final. I think that's a great deadline. That gives us about 7 to 10 days, whatever it is. Let's get to 3,000 before this series is over, and hopefully we're moving into the Stanley Cup Final. But that'll do it for a Game 3 reaction episode here on Locked On Stars. Drop your comments below. Let me know how you thought Game 3 went. Let me know your reaction to that first period in particular and how you felt after the second. Because, boy, it's hockey's a fun game, and it can switch up in a hurry, and the Oilers got a good taste of that. All righty, that'll do it. Thank you as always. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Enjoy getting back to work, and we'll talk to you soon. So long, Stars fans.